So let's go ahead and come to sitting on the mat, sitting with a lifted spine. Feel as though the crown of the head is centered over the middle of the chest, and the middle of the chest is centered over the middle of the pelvis. And just tune into the breath. Breath awareness itself is very calming. Notice if you're tense in the jaw. Notice if you're tense in the shoulders or the gut or the hips. Really tuning into the breath. Let the breath feel nourishing. Let it flow without any restriction anywhere in the body. And start to create a one-to-one inhale and exhale. Maybe you feel like it's a 4 count or a 6 count. It doesn't really matter as long as it feels even. Keep your spine tall and lifted. And do you notice that one side, one nostril is more dominant than the other? Try to let the breath flow. And for a couple of rounds, imagine that as the breath comes in, it comes in each nostril and leads right into the center of the brain, the midpoint of the brain, right about at the height of the eyebrows. And then as you exhale, it creates another V shape coming out equally the right and left nostril. And in your mind's eye, imagine that the moon is shining behind you. Your shadow is illuminated, or you see your shadow in front of you, and the moon is illuminating the entire scene in front of you. What does that scene look like that you're staring out into? Maybe you see a calm lake or pond in front of you. It's a beautiful scene, a very calm, centering, relaxing scene. Maybe you feel like you're looking out into a yard at night, another calm scene. But feel and sense the reflection of the light of the moon on the back of your head. See the scene in front of you also illuminated by the sun and by the moon, and see that space that is you in shadow right before you. And now imagine what might be creating the light that is reflecting on the moon. Imagine that you look up and see a star kind of just in front of your forehead, slightly upward, and let that star shine right on you. Couple more rounds of breath. And maybe you'd like to make an intention for your practice. And if not for your practice, maybe for your week. Sometimes people will create an intention. It might just be one word. It could be one word, for example, joy, or attention, to be more attentive in your day, to stay in the present moment, for example. Maybe it's calm. Just come up with one word that you would like to create as your intention for your day tomorrow or the week coming up. You could change it every day, but it's really a cool practice to have a one word intention that you start with in your morning when you first wake up. Maybe spend a few breaths just thinking about that intention and see how often it comes up for you in your day. Remind yourself that first thing in the morning, you're going to remember your intention. If your glasses wearer, you might want to take your glasses off. Rub the palms of the hands together. And I know you've all washed your hands or used sanitizer. We're going to touch our face. I know that's, if you don't want to, you don't have to. But we're going to bring the heel of the hand to the cheekbones and let the fingertips just rest into the hairline. Imagine that that energy that you created in the palms of the hands is seeping into the eyes, cleansing, purifying, healing any cells that that energy comes in contact with. Imagine it's filling the whole brain, the whole skull. Keep breathing, and with the breath, allow that energy, that cleansing, healing energy, to flow down the spine, bringing with it anything that you don't want to keep going forward. And then let your hands come to rest. Keep your eyes closed. Let your hands come to rest on the knees. And hands come down by the hips. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Palms come together, and then exhale, release that. Inhale, arms again. Lift your gaze. Exhale, release that. Let your chin come to the chest. And again, inhale, arms up, reach, and then exhale, release that. Let your head hang toward the floor, but the rest of the spine is tall and lifted. Swing slowly, one ear to the shoulder. And then chin comes back down again. Swing the other ear toward the other shoulder. Keep doing that. Forward, ear to shoulder. Chin comes to the chest, ear to shoulder. Do that one more time. And then when you've done that, the 2 times, let your chin come back to the chest and hold it right there. Feel tall in the spine. And then lift your head back to neutral. Round the shoulders. Full range of motion of the shoulders. And then side to side. We'll just do a few side to side. Wake up the side of the body. Let the spine bend. Let that flow with the natural rhythm of your inhale and exhale. Let's go one more. Make it even. And then come back. Really good. Roll the shoulders. And then we're going to come to all fours right away. So when you come to all fours, we'll just take a few moments here to just move as you need to. Maybe you need to move the hips a little bit more. Maybe you need to round the back. Just take a moment here. And then we'll come kind of settled in, really plant the hands on the floor and using the fingertips as well so that you're distributing the weight evenly throughout the entire hand. And you're also creating that little channel at the wrist and in the middle of the hand. So we're going to move through Chakra Vikasana. We'll do it in a couple stages. One is to come into cow pose and then exhale, lift the spine, float back into child. Bring the forearms to the floor, come through and then press up to cow. I love doing this one, kind of this circular motion around, forward and back. And then we come into child's pose. Do that again, come forward. Lift into cow, exhale, lift the spine, round the back, come into child, and then back into cow. We'll take a pause when you come into child. Hold it right here. Let's let the palms face upward. See how that feels in the shoulders. Another breath, and then we'll come forward again. So now we'll go into cow and then down dog, and we'll do that about 3 or 4 times. So if down dog is not appealing to you tonight, I will warn you, we're just going to do a very gentle, flowing, standing practice. Lower down into cow, lower the knees, exhale, lift into down dog. Kind of waking up the whole body. But this standing practice will feel good for the whole body. And then one more, we'll hold down dog when you come into down dog next. Lower the knees and lift and just hold this for a breath or two. Slowly, 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 with many steps, walk the feet forward and really bend the knee and feel that stretch in the hip and in the side, perhaps. Take a forward fold, bend the knees, and then slowly unwind, come all the way up. Just to loosen up the whole body before we get really into our Shavasana. I don't want you guys to fall asleep. Well, you can fall asleep during Shavasana. We don't care, right? So we're just going to go through a flowing exercise here. We'll add on as we go. I just am trying to make a little more room for myself. And then I'll just turn this way. How about? We'll inhale, lift, look up toward the thumbs. Exhale, bend the knees, reach one hand forward, one back, and look to the side. Inhale, lift. Go to the other side, bend the knees, open the arms. Do that a few times. So just feel like you're really buoyant with the upper body. And the knees kind of get a little bit of a gentle stretch here. And ankles. Keep going a few more times. Try to release any effort in the knees, in the jaw, in the shoulders, and be kind to the knees. So if it doesn't feel good to really bend, you don't have to. So make it even and on an even note here on the side, and then come all the way up. Reach, exhale, fold forward. We're going to do a couple of half sun salutations. Take your time. Inhale, long spine, lift halfway. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, rise up. So those of you who know this, you can just do it with the eyes closed. And we're going to go right back into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands float down. And again, inhale, lift. Exhale, fold forward. Lift halfway. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, rise up, and we're just going to add one more element here. I'll turn to the side. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Step the right foot back and come down onto the knee. Lift your gaze. And then exhale, bring the hips back. Stretch the front leg. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, shift back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, shift back. Inhale, come forward. Step the right foot forward. Bow in. Inhale, rise up. Really stretch here. And then exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold in, step the left foot back. Same thing, knee comes to the floor, open up the front of the body. Exhale, shift back. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, shift back. Inhale, come forward. Last one, exhale, shift back. And come forward, step the left foot in, fold in deeply. Take it even farther. And then inhale, rise up. Exhale, release the hands. And let the hands rest at the sides, palms facing forward. Try to find the most balanced Savasana that you can find so that you feel like you're using all four corners of each foot. You feel like a plumb line from the crown of the head down the spine to that space between the ankle bones at the floor. The natural curves of the spine. In the mind's eye, you see the curve at the neck. You see the curve, gentle curve at the waist. Collarbones are broad. And once you feel like you've stacked the bones of the body, find some ease in the body. And imagine that any tension of your day, anything that's filled that energy space in your body, around your body, that you don't want to keep, you don't want it to carry into the next day. Just watch it melt away. You don't have to name it. If you do, that's fine. But maybe you can just intend that you're letting go of all of this stuff. Let it just kind of drain down into the floor. Maybe even watch it drain down into the center of the earth. Imagine that moon reflecting at you again. Let it fill you with a different kind of energy. As you're draining away the stuff you don't want to keep, imagine it's kind of like a cloudy vapor leaving the aura of the body, and let that moonlight reflecting the star shine right on you, filling you with a brighter light. And then inhale, sweep arms up. We're going to work our way into a child's pose. So really shine your gaze upward. Exhale, fold forward. Bow in. Inhale, step the feet back to downward facing dog. Hold it if you want for a breath or two. And then when you're ready, bring the feet to the floor, or the knees to the floor, sorry, and then into child's pose. This can be really wide knees if you like, or it can be legs parallel. Decide, would you like to have your hands holding onto the feet? Sometimes that feels really grounding. Tucking your forehead in toward the knees and breathe. Couple more breaths. Lift yourself up slowly. We're going to get a couple of ankle foot stretches, and then we'll go into a restorative pose where you'll want to have everything near you. So just to stretch the feet, if this is not something your knees love, you do not have to do this. But if you're okay with it, lean back onto the toes and lift the knees off the floor. This is a great stretch for the front top of the foot. You may not love it. Another option is to just come onto the floor and stretch the toes toward, just like you're pointing the toes, but ooh, that can be tender. And then release that. Let's stretch the toes back. Turn the toes under and push through the heel. Get a very nice calf stretch, foot stretch. Try to feel that stretching the bottom of the foot. And then go to the other side. Calf stretch first. And then stretch the bottom of the foot. And then bring the knee back. So change it up, turn the toes under, and here's where you can decide how deep you want to go into this. This is a big toe stretch, sitting on the heels with the toes turned under. If you feel like this is agonizing for you, don't do it. Maybe sit and wiggle the toes with your hand. Oh, and if it bothers the knees, yes, this is ones that's definitely going to bother the knee. Come to sitting and just use your hand to stretch the toes. And then we'll come out of it. You might need to flap the feet and then come back to sitting. Find your items. We're going to come into a variation of constructive or of supported bound angle. So depending on what you guys have, we're trying to create a sloping, I guess, setup for the spine. If you have a bolster at home, obviously you'd love to use your bolster. And your head would be a little higher than the hips. Another option is to come in any height where it's more like a stair step for the blocks. And still another option, maybe some people just really prefer to use a rolled up blanket and your hips would be off the floor. Your head might be supported on something like this. You can be a little creative about it, but try to feel like your head is higher than the hips. And then a bonus, if you have something to put under the knees or just rest on the belly, even better. If you have a bolster, I highly recommend the bolster. So it doesn't have to be super high up, but you do want to feel just that incline. So you see here that I have the lowest setting of the block, and then just the second setting for my head. You want the lowest block to be right behind the heart, and you want the head to be just a little bit higher, not causing your neck to feel like it's being pulled. You could, if you want, have the same height. Ponytails make it challenging. So arms are trying to come into the most open position that they can be. Your legs can be long on the mat. So you see how this is supported fish pose. Another option, if that's hard on the low back, is to bend the knees and have the knees lifted, or bring your blanket across the top of the ankles, and you could bring the knees wide into more of this supported bound angle position. So when I tell you the purpose of the pose, that might help you decide any adjustments you want to make. It's all about opening up the front of the body in the most vulnerable spots that we close in when we're stressed, um, just in any sort of mental, physical, emotional stress, we hunch in. Also, our workday is pretty much designed to be that stress inducing, rolling in, protective. I guess it isn't stress inducing, but it's very protective. And it changes the shape or the way the organs can be positioned in the body. Really important to undo that. So you're trying to let the shoulders roll back. You want to feel stretch across the chest from the sternum, the breastbone, outward toward the sides of the body and the shoulders. You don't want to feel hunched in any way. You want your neck to be very comfortable. Some people like to have a blanket or a weight on the bones of the pelvis or at the low belly. And if it's comfortable, you could get the added bonus of opening up the belly, the pelvis, the inner thighs by bringing your feet into that butterfly shape. You don't have to do it right away. That can be kind of intense. But if you feel like you want to do it, go ahead and do it for as many breaths as it feels beneficial. The first few breaths might feel like it pulls on the back or is tight. If you have some other prop that you want to bring in, go ahead and put that under the knees. Make sure you're comfortable, because we're going to hold this about 5 minutes. At any time, if you want to change the position, feel free to do that. This might feel like a great time to remind yourself of your intention, that one word intention. Really get your brain used to experiencing that one word. And maybe you want to imagine that illumination or the reflection of the moon, that calming, peaceful light that comes back to you, reflecting the starlight, reflecting the energy of the sun, shining it on you. So if you have your knees wide, maybe with the help of your hands or not, lift the knees up toward each other. Just take a few moments to adjust to that. And then we're all going to roll off the props and come onto the back with your props moved over to the side. Come back onto the back. And then we'll bend the knees and have your blanket. So I have my blanket kind of as a weight. I have it long. I'm going to bring it around the knees and hold it. So bend the knees and hold it right there, kind of clasping with the back of the knees onto the blanket. Lower the feet to the floor and then see if you can rest right here. Once your blanket is stable, kind of hooked, clamped at the back of the knees, feet come really wide. Arms can be wherever you want. If it's comfortable to find that open position again, great. Otherwise, rest your hands on the belly. And this blanket kind of serves as a support so that your legs can actually more deeply relax. You all feel what I'm talking about? Yeah. Couple more breaths. Watch the back fully release to the floor. Make any adjustments with the back of the head that you need to. And then we'll draw the knees back up, remove the blanket, bring your feet back to the floor, wide feet. And then let the knees float side to side. So this is wide foot, windshield wipers, slow motion, side to side. And then let the knees rest in one direction. Turn your head in the opposite direction. Arms come out to perhaps cactus or goalpost arms. So if you feel like you have any residual anxiety or tension in the gut, this is a great place to release it. So imagine that you're letting the breath really fill the body and let the organs completely relax. Tell yourself to let the organs relax. Use the breath. Bring your head back to neutral. Lift the knees. Keep the feet right where they are and lower the knees down to the other side. Turn your head in the opposite direction of the knees. Use the breath. Let it fill the space of the body. coax relaxation into that whole area of the abdominal cavity, the organs within, the chest cavity, the pelvis. Maybe you notice you're gripping in the hips, along the spine, in the shoulders. Bring your head back to neutral, lift the knees. So we're going to take it just a little bit farther into a twist. We'll lift the knees up toward you. So it's basically the same shape coming into a twist, but we'll have an option for extending the top leg and holding onto it with the opposite hand. I need more space, so I'm going to move out just a little bit. So we're going to let the knees float down to the left. Once you settle in after a couple of breaths, maybe you have a blanket or a block between the knees. You could also extend the right leg and hold on to the big toe with your left hand. Let your left hand, so you're letting your left hand, I'm going to show you with a better angle here. You're going to let the left hand come all the way down to the floor, perhaps. So if this doesn't feel right to you, if it feels like it's more work and it doesn't allow this sense of relaxation, then maybe just bend both knees and rest one hand on top of the right knee. Still want to try to have the shoulder blades on the floor. Notice where you're bringing extra tension into the body. As you perceive it, soften it. Try to deepen the breath. So this twisting pose is a very calming pose. To get the maximum effect, try to deepen the inhale in the belly. Let it expand as if it's starting at the spine and working outward. Let's bring your head back to neutral. If you have your right leg extended, let go of the toe and then draw the right knee up, the left knee up, hug the knees. Couple more breaths. If you feel like you need to rock just gently from side to side, go ahead. And then we'll go to the other side. So arms open, lower the knees down to the right. take a moment here. You're kind of undoing the last pose. So take a couple extra breaths before you come into the deepest variation. Trying to bring the shoulder blades to the floor. Noticing tension and then letting it go. If you want that full pose, extend the left leg, hold on with the right hand. Really feeling the calming presence of the breath. If you're in the full pose, let's bring the leg back in, knees together, and then lift the left knee, lift the right knee, hug the knees. Maybe move from side to side. And then feet come to the floor. Tent the knees again just for a pause. So I'll describe where we're going. You decide how you want to do this. We're getting an inversion. If you feel like you'd rather bring your legs up a wall, if you have access to that, go ahead and move to a wall and bring feet up, elevated position. You might even want to have something under the hips. If you don't have wall access, but maybe you have a chair, maybe you could drape the back of the calves over a chair, maybe lifting the height of the hips, or even putting a blanket on the seat of the chair to feel very natural and supported, so it feels effortless. This is what I had intended as my variation that I was going to do tonight, and we'll just do an elevated legs if you want to have your blocks underneath and lift. I think we did this a little bit last time. Great inversion. All of them are great, but I'll tell you, if you have wall access, go for it. If it gets kind of tedious holding the legs without anything to support the back of the heels, you can always just sort of bend the knees from time to time and then lengthen again. Some of you are comfortable bending quite a bit and letting the hands support the thighs. Another option, if none of those feel appealing to you, here's another option, is to just create a little tower with your blocks. You can have your back fully on the floor and just rest your feet elevated. You might even want to tie something around the knees so that is very relaxing for the hips. Like if you have your tie or a bathrobe tie or a towel or something to tie the knees together, feet resting on a tower of blocks or props of any sort. That's still an inversion. Maybe you're recalling that soothing aspect of the reflection of the moon. We'll hold this about another minute. If it feels like it's more than you want, bring your legs kind of tucking the knees in toward the belly if you wish. If you're happy where you are, stay right there. And then very slowly, we'll come off the wall or lower the legs and pause on the side of the body, or maybe you'll just stay right on the back, depending on which variation you did. And then make your way back to the mat if you've moved your position. And we're going to come onto the back. So here's what we're going to do. Like, we're going to get really cozy. If you feel like you need to do any stretches to release this inversion that you just did, if you feel like you need to maybe a little bit of windshield wipers or just move just a little bit, go ahead. But then settle in for maximum comfort. So depending on what props you have, I already know that some of you might have enough props. If you like doing Karen special, you know what I'm talking about, when your legs are elevated and tied there with a strap. Some of you like to have your legs, the knees over a bolster, and cover up, do whatever you need, something under your head perhaps. So before you get really, really deep into this relaxation. We're just going to do a little bit of guided, kind of like our yoga nidra, just a little bit, just to kind of get you ready for deep relaxation, making adjustments to your physical position here anytime you need. So, first, imagine that you're being illuminated again with the reflection of the moon. Soak in that radiance, that glow, that warm glow. It's always beautiful to look at a full moon. Imagine it's there just for you, and the luminance of it is just for you. We'll incorporate a few healing breath exercises with that illumination of the moonlight. So imagine the moonlight is drawing down in from the crown of the head, down the spine. You'll bring it into the pit of the stomach, let it intensify. And then from there, we'll move the breath in different directions, always bringing that beautiful moonlight down into the crown, down the spine to the pit of the stomach. So for the next few breaths, bring that gorgeous glow of moonlight in through the crown of the head, down the spine to the pit of the stomach. Let it intensify. On the exhale, let it flow down the legs and out the soles of the feet. Imagine it's moving on to infinity. Return the breath in through the crown of the head, that glow falling down into the spine to the pit of the stomach. Exhaling out the legs and soles of the feet. And now let that warm glow of the moon, the reflection of the moon, come in through the crown of the head on the in breath, down the spine to the pit of the stomach. On the exhale, let it lift back up the spine to the shoulders, out the arms and palms of the hands. Slow down the breath to really see the movement of the breath. The next few breaths, drawing the breath in, that golden glow of the reflection of the moon into the spine, from the crown of the head into the spine. Illuminate the spine, bring it to the pit of the stomach. On the exhale, let it wrap around the pelvis, the abdomen, the chest cavity, into the brain, and out the senses. Really slowing down the breath now to follow the path of the breath. In from the crown of the head, down the spine, illuminating the spine to the pit of the stomach. Exhale, swirling it around as it works its way upward into the skull and out the sensory organs of the eyes, the ears, the mouth, the nose. And finally, drawing that illumination in to the crown. Let it really illuminate the spine. The spine is glowing with that reflection of the moon down to the pit of the stomach. And now, as you exhale, let it flow to every cell in the body and leave through the pores of your skin. No restriction to the breath. Now, with this heightened sense of internal awareness, listen for the most distant sound that you can perceive. Now, listen for the nearest sound. Listen within the body. Can you hear the heartbeat? Can you feel the pumping of the blood through the veins? You hear swallowing, perhaps. And now feel the sensation of lightness in the body. Now feel the sensation of heaviness, as if the back of the body is just expanding on the floor. Let the shoulders spread onto the mat, the hips, the heels, the back of the head. See if you can feel the pull of gravity, that force acting on your body, pulling you down toward the center of the earth. Recall your one word intention, if you made one, that you'll use tomorrow, first thing in the morning, to illuminate your day or your week. Imagine that one word is flowing through the veins in your body. And now allow yourself to become even more still. Can you go deeper, even 1% deeper, into peace and stillness? Imagine the illumination of the moon shining on you. Remind yourself of your intention, your one word. Allow the breath to gradually deepen and bring more energy in through the entire body. At some point, it will feel right to you to start to stretch. And at some point, it will feel right to you to roll over onto one side. Taking your time, at some point, it will feel right to you to slowly bring yourself to sitting. When you come to sitting, sit tall. Tune into the breath as quickly as you can, trying to keep that peaceful feeling in the body, in the mind. Watch the breath for several rounds. Notice where it goes at the end of the inhale. Where does the breath flow on the exhale? Then we'll bring hands to heart center and end our practice tonight. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a great day tomorrow. I hope you remember your word first thing in the morning. You will remember your word first thing in the morning and let it shine through your whole day. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you. Namaste. Oh, thank you, everybody. Don't you love that really long Shavasana?